I think it's fair to say that Momoshiki had some glaring weaknesses, but something I always found fascinating is how one of Momoshiki's biggest weaknesses in battle was always hinted at but never outright discussed. And so I want to thoroughly break this down and answer a question that you might not have thought about, and that's, why is Momoshiki the only otsutsuki we've seen who constantly eats chakra pills? Think about it. These pills were never once mentioned in Naruto, then they were introduced with Momoshiki, and then after Momoshiki died, they've never been brought up again. We never saw Kaguya, Kinshiki, Urashiki, or Isshiki running around popping pills all the time, whereas Momoshiki eats like 12 pills on screen, and he and Kinshiki specifically wanted to turn the scattered tail beast chakra into one fruit, and then use the chakra fruit to make pills, a type of medicine that keeps them eternally young, immortal, and invincible according to Momoshiki. This is drastically different from what Kaguya did, what Isshiki wanted to do, what Amato says that Sasuke do, and what Momoshiki wants to do now after implementing karma on Boruto. Now it seems like Momoshiki just wants to eat the chakra fruit like everyone else, so why this sudden change of goals? First it was about the pills, and now it's about the fruit. So why is that?
Seriously? You asked why?
I'll answer this from two different perspectives. Behind the scenes, the reality is it's probably a drop plot point. It wasn't thought of back in Naruto, and now they don't want to use it anymore. It was only introduced in that arc because from a story perspective, the pills were the best way to convey the message and themes of that arc, and it was the best way for Boruto to understand his flaws through Momoshiki, who in many ways was Boruto's mirror image. Boruto was born into a prestigious family as the son of the Hokage and Byakugan princess, and the grandson of another Hokage, and the grandson of the head of the Hyuga clan. He was lazy and didn't like to train and work hard, and instead preferred to take shortcuts such as using ninja tech instead of doing extra training. And they even showed this character trait in other aspects of Boruto's life, such as when he used cheat codes to level up faster in a video game, which Shikadai and Inojin thought ruined the fun of the game. And Boruto was willing to cheat and use scientific ninja tools in the Chunin exams when they weren't allowed, in order to impress his dad. Similarly, Momoshiki gave off a very prestigious vibe with his fancy clothes and stuff, and he was also lazy and didn't like to train and instead preferred to take shortcuts and eat chakra pills to instantly acquire power. But Naruto called him out and said that he was a coward who relied on doping, and that those pills weren't true power, which made Boruto reflect on his own actions and see the similarities between them. Momoshiki eating chakra pills was a metaphor for taking performance-enhancing drugs in a competition where they weren't allowed, which isn't a whole lot different from what Boruto did in the Chunin exams with the scientific ninja tool. Furthermore, Momoshiki consumes these pills several times like a drug addict. If Momoshiki ate a whole chakra fruit every time he ate the pills, he would have been too strong. Considering the power-up he got after eating Kinshiki, if he got 3 more power-ups equal to that, then they probably wouldn't have been able to defeat him. And if they still managed to defeat him, then it would make the chakra fruit look weak and put Kaguya's power-up, Isshiki's goal, and Shibai's transcendence into godhood into question, considering how weak these fruits would be. And the fact is, eating a chakra fruit simply isn't as effective as a metaphor for taking drugs because it's a fruit, not a drug like Momoshiki's pills. The point was he was literally consuming a drug for power, which better represents the message conveyed in the arc. No other otsutsuki was meant to parallel Boruto in this exact manner, so naturally, nobody else pops pills all the time. That's taking a look at the pills from a story perspective, but now I want to look at it from a plot perspective, which ties into one of Momoshiki's biggest weaknesses. Momoshiki's always been one of the weirdest otsutsuki to me because he constantly eats chakra pills over and over again without getting any noticeable power amp, and instead it feels like he needs some to feel his attacks, whereas no other otsutsuki does this. Kaguya, Kinshiki, Urashiki, and Isshiki just fought normally without constantly popping pills, and when we observe the things Momoshiki says and does, you'll notice a common trend here. In all 5 scenes where Momoshiki uses his Rinnegan ability, Takami Musubi no Kami, which allows him to amplify and release the jutsu he's absorbed, Momoshiki received an external source of chakra prior to releasing these jutsu. Momoshiki ate some chakra pills before releasing B's Tail Beast Bomb, the Red Rasengan, and the massive attack at the arena with Boruto's jutsu and the Tail Beast Bomb. He absorbed around half of Karamba's chakra before releasing some unknown jutsu on the Kage, and Shikamaru's Shadow Possession Jutsu and Katasuke's Jutsu were the first jutsu Momoshiki released from his Rinnegan after eating Kinshiki, who turned into a chakra fruit. Because of this, it remains unclear whether Momoshiki needs to consume the chakra pills or receive chakra from some other source in order to actually amplify the attacks he releases with his Rinnegan, because that chakra serves as fuel for the amplification. Or if he can still amplify attacks on his own, but the chakra pills just allow him to amplify the attacks even more than usual. However, to further support the idea that Momoshiki needs these pills to fuel his attacks, after absorbing B's chakra in the Boruto movie, Momoshiki says that he used most of the pills while traveling through time-space, implying that he used the pills to fuel his space-time ninjutsu. This should strike you as odd given that we've seen Kaguya, Kinshiki, Urashiki, and Isshiki all use space-time ninjutsu without ever needing to pop any chakra pills, and Kaguya and Urashiki abused the crap out of their space-time jutsu way more than Momoshiki ever did. So why is Momoshiki the odd one out who needs chakra pills to do everything? My theory, which ties into all the story stuff I mentioned earlier, is that unlike the other otsutsuki we've seen so far, Momoshiki just doesn't know how to produce chakra internally and relies on chakra pills instead. We were taught in part 1 that ninja mix their mental and physical energies, collectively called stamina, to produce chakra. Or in other words, ninja convert their stamina into chakra. But Momoshiki probably never bothered to learn how to do this because he's lazy, stuck up, and was probably born into a high-ranking position in the clan where he could hog all the chakra pills he wanted. Remember, Momoshiki's whole thing was that he didn't need to train or work hard because he could just eat these pills to acquire power instead. So from his perspective, it really would be pointless to learn how to produce his own chakra since he could consume all the chakra he wants. And as we saw in the movie, manga, and anime, Momoshiki was hogging all the chakra pills for himself. He wasn't really sharing any with Kinshiki or Urashiki, which is probably why Urashiki didn't really care for Momoshiki and was doing things behind his back. And Kinshiki said that Kaguya was supposed to provide them with the chakra fruit, but she never did, which is why they eventually came to Earth to steal it for themselves. All of this implies that Momoshiki had the luxury of having chakra fruits and pills handed to him regularly, whereas people like Kinshiki and Urashiki got a very, very small share of chakra by comparison, maybe getting a chakra fruit or a couple of chakra pills every now and then so they could keep evolving and growing stronger too, but they mostly had to use their own chakra that they produce within their own bodies for battle, whereas Momoshiki didn't have to do that. This would also explain why, for someone who's eaten so many chakra fruits and pills, Momoshiki didn't seem nearly as strong as we would expect him to be. All those chakra fruits and pills might update Momoshiki's body and increase his physical and spiritual energy, but since he doesn't know how to mix those energies to produce chakra, all that power goes to waste after its initial use since he doesn't know how to reproduce that chakra on his own. But Momoshiki knows that he can just instantly regain all that power by just eating more pills again. By contrast, someone like Isshiki could produce chakra on his own without eating chakra pills, meaning his power was permanent, and he clearly trained more than Momoshiki did, which is why his hand-to-hand combat skills were so much better than Momoshiki's, and that's why Isshiki was a far greater threat than Momoshiki was. He had tremendous power and the skill to use it, whereas Momoshiki had tremendous power but lacked the skill to fully take advantage of it. In some ways, Isshiki was what Momoshiki could have been if he stopped being a lazy bum and actually trained for once. And while Momoshiki hogged most of the pills for himself instead of sharing with Kinshiki, the reason why he and Kinshiki planned to turn the chakra fruit into pills might have been because that was their mission from the clan. Kinshiki said that Kaguya was supposed to provide them with the chakra fruit as if that was her mission, and Momoshiki and Kinshiki's mission might have been to turn that fruit into pills and bring them back home to share around, where Momoshiki probably gets the biggest share of the pills, but not all of them since Kinshiki, Urashiki, and maybe some other otsutsuki were supposed to get a few pills too. Essentially, these three might have been making pills because they were following clan rules. On the other hand, Kaguya and Isshiki seemed to be acting on their own instead of following clan law, so naturally, they just wanted to eat the chakra fruit for themselves without sharing with anyone. And as for Momoshiki now, he either still wants to make the pills after getting the fruit but just hasn't directly said that, or he's decided that he was way too weak and needs to evolve and get stronger instead of sharing the pills, or he's just going completely rogue. Or they just didn't even think about this whatsoever and forgot about the pills altogether. Who knows? So now let's tie this theory into what we saw from him in battle. Coming back to Takami Musubi no Kami, this would explain why Momoshiki usually eats chakra pills before amplifying attacks. His ability is to amplify the jutsu he's absorbed, but he needs chakra to do this. If he wants to return a Tail Beast bomb twice as big as the original, then he needs to input enough chakra to make that happen. But since Momoshiki seems to lack the skill to convert stamina into chakra, the only way to do this is to use external sources of chakra, like from chakra pills. Now when it comes to the Phoenix Dog and Golem, these are separate abilities from Takami Musubi no Kami. Momoshiki was able to turn Boruto's jutsu into these 3 avatars at the arena, and then he created all 3 from the land itself against Naruto and Sasuke. When Sasuke and the Kage cornered Momoshiki, he pointed out that Momoshiki could absorb and release jutsu, but once he ran out of that expendable ammo, he had nothing to release anymore. However, Momoshiki can use the Phoenix Dog and Golem without absorbing them, as we saw later on, but he didn't use them when he was cornered, and instead looked visibly angry and worried. He might not have used them because he couldn't use them, because they require chakra which he didn't currently have, because he used a bunch up in his attack at the arena, and then launched one more jutsu when the Kage showed up. He only used taijutsu and kenjutsu after that, most likely because that's all he could manage at the time. However, that changed when he ate Kinshiki, who turned into a chakra fruit. A chakra fruit contains a crapload of chakra, which would allow him to create a big Phoenix Dog and Golem in his fight against Naruto and Sasuke, as well as create some of Kinshiki's weapons and do a few other attacks. But then after he releases Shikamaru's Shadow Possession and Katasuke's Ninja Tech Jutsu, Momoshiki eats some more pills before releasing his Red Rasengan that might have been an amplified Rasengan that he absorbed from both Boruto and Katasuke. And now as Urashiki, he can use Boruto's chakra and may have also learned how to produce it himself through Boruto, allowing him to use ninjutsu without eating chakra pills first. So overall, I think this idea that Momoshiki just didn't know how to produce chakra and instead relied on chakra pills makes a lot of sense. And it's just something unique to Momoshiki because that's how his cocky character is. He just seemed like a prestigious otsutsuki who didn't have to do anything for himself, unlike most other otsutsuki, and in the end it only held him back and caused his own demise. But I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think this theory is onto something and is one of Momoshiki's biggest weaknesses in battle? And if so, do you think the reason for him making pills also has to do with some clan missions or rules that he and Kinshiki followed while Kaguya and Isshiki didn't? Or do you think it's a bunch of nonsense baloney? Let me know in the comment section below, but that's a wrap on today's video, so thank you guys for watching until the end.
You're already under my genjutsu.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, check out my podcast channel, become a member, and hit the bell icon for notifications.
Sorry, Sasuke. Maybe some other time.
Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.